Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this press conference with FIFA President Gianni Infantino following the 66th FIFA Congress, which just took place here in the city of Mexico. President Infantino will say just a couple of words to introduce and start this press conference. You were all here today, so you are aware of the decisions taken and information given during this meeting, and then we will take your questions, of course. President, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Nicola. Welcome to all of you, also from my side, of course. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you here, and I would like also to thank you for the work you are doing for us as well, for football. The good things, the critics, as long as we can build on them and they are constructive, it's really always welcome. So thank you very much for everything. Today you've been at the Congress. I think it was a positive Congress. I think the messages were positive, messages about football, messages about new messages, a new FIFA, messages about change. And I think we've been able to show that we are turning the reforms into action at all different levels in less than, or in a little bit, sorry, more than 2 months' time. We will grow stronger, we will invest more into football development, and we will engage everyone in the world of football. When it comes to the reform, it is certainly my objective to create a modern, transparent and progressive organization, an organization that everyone can trust, and an organization which can be a leader in the world of football, and that's why we go full steam ahead. We cannot allow the mistakes of the past to happen again, and that's why we have to be very cautious and very serious about these things. I would like to focus as well, because for me this is the most important point, on the development, on the new forward program. We are driving FIFA forward with more investment, but also more control, more oversight, more impact this will have, because we will have tailor-made programs for each individual country. And I would also like to highlight once again that what we try to do is to engage the football world. FIFA really had a big need to reconnect with the fans, to reconnect with the players, to reconnect with the roots of football. And that's why maybe it has not been a bad thing that a crap football player like me, but a great football fan on the other side, has been elected president, so that we can bring back football to FIFA, because we have, of course, the passion. And for this, the Legends team has been already a great success. It will help us. These former players, these former legends, not former, these current legends and former players, I prefer to call them legends than former players, they are all keen to do something for football. Football has given them a lot, and they want to give something back, and this is absolutely fantastic. We have been involving them not only in the gala match or whatever, but also in some activities here in Mexico, and also in a think tank discussion where we discussed about World Cup formats and so on. We discussed about technology and all of these things in an informal way, in a positive way, men, women together, who have football really close to their heart. The other point that I want to mention as well is, of course, gender equality and diversity. We have to embrace diversity. FIFA has a responsibility to do so, not only to speak about it, but also to do these things. And for this reason, I'm very happy of the appointment of the new Secretary General, Fatma Samoura. For me, the most competent person to lead the administration of FIFA at this time. It's a woman, for the first time in the history of FIFA. And she's also coming from Africa, a great continent, a continent where a lot of development can be done, and her experience in development is certainly as well one of the big pluses that we can use in the future. We have also decided to create a football division. We have a new recruitment process where gender equality and diversity are key pillars. So these are things that we will see in the weeks and months coming ahead, but this is already all implemented. Finally, just a word of congratulations, of course, to our two new members, Kosovo and Gibraltar, overwhelming majority. So congratulations to member number 210 and 211, Kosovo and Gibraltar. That's it as an introduction. Of course, I'm here for any question you might have.
Thank you, President. So we will start now with taking your questions. Please, one question at a time. Thank you for that. And please announce your name and the name of your media organization before taking the question. Who takes the first one? Over there, please. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. I would like to ask my question in Spanish. Mr. Infantino, Salvador González from MS Television. Could you perhaps lay before us the arguments with which you believe that the crisis, or that point towards an end of the crisis at FIFA, and why this is now a period of hope for the whole organization?
Esperanza.
I believe that hope is not the right word. We're talking about facts. It is work, lots of work, that has been done in a very short time. We're talking about FIFA, which is a global organization. It is not an easy organization because it involves numerous different cultural backdrops, different worldviews and different ways of approaching things. And despite all of that, we have been able to pool our forces to unite everybody at FIFA and get some very positive messages across. Positive messages that are also very important. Woman as a Secretary General, that is very important. The reform package itself, and they are being implemented as we speak. We're already working with them. The president of FIFA or the president of the Council of FIFA cannot just by himself decide which contracts can be signed, commercial affiliates or commercial contracts can be signed, which cannot choose any companies or commercial partners. That is no longer the case. The president of the Council can, for example, no longer decide that a confederation can be assigned a certain development project. No, all of that now has to be submitted and is submitted to clear regulations, clear procedures, and therefore the reforms have, as I said, been already implemented. And with this, I believe that it is not just a hope or a hopeful new period that we're embarking on. It is facts that we have already been establishing, and we're continuing to work on these, and we're showing that we're open-minded and that we want to look forward in football.
If somebody can bring me just some water, that would be great. Sorry. Technical communication.
Esperamos el agua, preguntamos.
Podemos preguntar, claro.
No, you can ask. President Infantino, Fernando Schwartz from Fox Sports. There is an interesting situation. Today you have sent out a new message to the world. How will FIFA go about getting closer to the fan base and regain a credibility, which is very important amongst the fans and also amongst the sponsors, so that they will return and once again support FIFA? They will believe in FIFA looking at the work that we're doing. We're not just speaking, but we're also walking the talk. Of course, we want to do things good, and of course, mistakes might be made along the way. You can't completely exclude that. But what we want to do is, and we believe, that we have to act, and that's what we're doing. We're opening the doors of FIFA to independent members, for example, to this team of legends. And the fans also love them. And therefore, these measures adopted to open up FIFA show to the world that we really want to reconnect, or we want to reconnect FIFA with football, and we want to reconnect with the fan base. That is absolutely a priority for us.
Next one, please.
Hi, Gianni, Charlie Sale, Daily Mail. When you spoke to some of us in Budapest, you gave the impression that you would wait a long time before, well, till later in the summer before making your Secretary General appointment, and that certainly not in Mexico, yet you surprised almost everybody by doing it. What were the reasons for that?
Well, I simply wanted to announce it to the Council and then to the member associations before announcing it to the press. Sorry for that, but of course I was working hard on this. I had some ideas. I said it from the beginning that I didn't want a European General Secretary. I said from the beginning that I believed in gender equality, so I started to work with this in mind, and I had some ideas, but I wanted to keep, as a matter of respect for the Council members and the associations who came here to Mexico, I wanted to keep it for them to hear it first, because I think it is an important decision. I'm very happy that the Council accepted and supported my proposal, and you know, I hope that it will be well received. I think really she's the right woman for this job, for this place, and I have full trust in Fatma, and she will do an excellent job as Secretary General of FIFA.
Next question at the back, please. Thank you.
President Infantino,
Yes, President Infantino, good afternoon. It's Antonio Rodriguez from ESPN. How qualified do you think has Mexico come out through this? Yes, good afternoon once again. Excuse me, because I can't really hear you very well here. How well qualified has Mexico come out in terms of the organization of this tournament, given that Mexico is looking forward to perhaps staging the World Cup in 2026? And irrespective of the procedure that every country will have to undergo, what do you think about the candidacy and candidature of Mexico as another host for 2026? Well, if we're speaking like this, I believe that Mexico is, and the city of Mexico is absolutely fantastic. We had a great time here. People are very warm and welcoming and always helpful, and not only for myself, but to all of the members, and the delegates have made very positive, glowing remarks about their stay here in Mexico at the Congress. So thank you to the Mexican people for that. 2026, well, Wednesday we went to the Azteca Stadium, which is more than a stadium, of course. It's a monument, it's an icon, really, of world football, global football, where great World Cups were staged. Players like Diego Maradona, Pelé, and others have played. I mean, we're really talking about the absolute pinnacle of football. And of course, it is the case that Mexico brings great assets along to organize the World Cup. There's a real passion for football in this country. And therefore, I believe that is a good starting point, of course. Now we have to start and define all of the requisites. We will have to work throughout the next year in order to establish that ledger, and I think that we're certainly also pushing and approving and also supporting co-hosting of World Cups among several countries, because we believe it is a good thing. And I do believe that there could be a candidature for a World Cup hosting, for the hosting of the World Cup. It would be certainly welcome. Until the last World Cup, the president actually was one of the casting votes for the World Cup, but now it's no longer the case. The Congress will take up that task. Therefore, I am very relaxed. I can say that I'm very positive about that, and I think there's a lot of passion, and there are some countries that have a lot of passion for football, and Mexico is certainly one of these.
I was just going to say, Domenico Scala walked out of the Congress today. You announced some changes to the judicial bodies and the audit and compliance. These bodies were independent bodies. There's a feeling, Mark Pietz just commented on this, saying these are no longer independent. If the bodies that are supposed to control the FIFA Council are hired and fired by the people they're supposed to be looking at, among others, half of them in the previous EXCO have been arrested or in jail. We need strong independent bodies, and by you guys hiring and firing them, that independence seems to have been lost. Do you want to comment on that, please?
Well, I think that if you say that the former Advocate General of the European Court of Justice, such as Mr. Maduro, new chairman of the Governance Committee, is a person which is not of the very highest standard, then I think those who are making these comments have not really understood what we are doing here. We are trying to appoint the right persons, persons with high credibility, persons with important CVs, persons who are truly independent, and the only change that was approved today overwhelmingly by the Congress is to give the flexibility only for 12 months until the next Congress to the Council, which will be of 36 members, as you know, to dismiss and appoint members if the Council feels it is needed. I think the judgments need to be made by the quality of the members which are sitting on these boards, rather than by making speculations or putting intentions in minds of people which are far from the reality.
Next one, please.
Good afternoon, President Infantino. Fox Sports, yes, we know each other, says the President. Yes. A couple of days ago, the Mexican team started a campaign in order to also discipline a bit the fans, instead of so that they don't insult the referees. What will FIFA do in order to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore, that they don't shout puto anymore, this famous call that the Mexican fans have? Well, of course, the president of FIFA cannot really intervene and comment on internal affairs of discipline and disciplinary action within the Mexican Federation, but we are certainly working together with the Federation of Mexico in order to create an awareness, raise an awareness amongst people, because if people are offended by these calls, then you have to look at how you can resolve this or solve it, and that's what we're working on. We're working together with the Mexican Federation. They're doing a good work there, and FIFA is supporting the Mexican Federation in this case.
Next one here, please.
German television. I have a question regarding the general director that was presented today. When did you meet her for the first time? Secretary General, that is. Did you look at it yourself personally, or were there third parties involved? Perhaps if you could summarize a bit how the journey was done and how you underwent in finding the Secretary General.
It's my responsibility, in accordance with the FIFA statutes, to make a recommendation to the Council on who the Secretary General is. I had, of course, the right profile in mind in terms of the personality, but also in terms of the competencies which were established with a job profile. I have met Mrs. Samura several months ago for the first time, and I have continued the discussions with her, with other potential candidates. It is my responsibility to do that. It is my responsibility to make a proposal. It is my responsibility to follow the right process by consulting those that needed to be consulted for me. So I think the CV, again, of Mrs. Samura speaks for itself. An extremely competent person, a person who is managing since 21 years extremely complex situations, who is active in the humanitarian field, which is one of the top priorities for FIFA as well going forward. So when you add all of this together, for me, it was then pretty easy to come to the conclusion that she's the right person for this job. Plus, she loves football as well, and her husband too, so this helps always in this respect. Thank you.
Next one, here in the middle, please, Lucas. Thank you.
President Infantino, good afternoon. With the recently appointed Ms. Samura, who has all of this experience when it comes to humanitarian work, in which way can FIFA tap into this and benefit from this in terms also of mitigating the exploitation that also exists of workers? What is this? Is this also a message that goes out from FIFA to the working people?
We decided already a couple of weeks ago when I visited Qatar to set up an oversight body composed by external people, by independent people, to look into the conditions. I've been myself to Qatar, speaking with the Emir, speaking with the Prime Minister. They have committed to do a certain number of things. For example, the kafala law, which disappears for the workers conditions. So these are things that, of course, cannot be solved from one day to the next. And to have somebody like Fatma, who has 21 years of experience in precisely this field, will certainly give an added value to FIFA as an organization to deal with, in a very serious way, with these questions of related to human rights.
Next one, Rob.
Hi, Rob Harris from Associated Press. Given that we now know who the General Secretary is and we know your position, could you now reveal what the various pay is of both your position and of the General Secretary? And could you explain why members here receive $1,000 each for the week when most of their meals and the hospitality and services are laid on for them? It seems an area that could be reinvested in these development projects.
So one question at a time, please. Thank you.
On the $1,000, I think this has always been the case. I guess, I don't know, as a fee for the delegates. It's part of the budget, approved by all the bodies, approved by the finance committee, through audit and compliance, everywhere. And even without this $1,000 per member, I think that the funds are there to fund the development programs. So this is not the issue, of course, can be looked at, and it's good that you raise it. So we might look at it. The other question was my pay and the pay of the General Secretary. You will have to read then the next year's financial report, where all of this will be published. My pay is not yet fixed as far as I'm concerned, so I cannot give you a figure, but it will come out, it will be public, it will be transparent as soon as it is fixed.
Next one here, please.
But my pay and the pay of the General Secretary are not the important topics. Today the important topics are football development, are the reforms, are that we are serious about these matters. Then whether I earn a bit more or a bit less, it's really not the issue. Really not.
Julio Hernandez, Sky Sports. The Euro is going to be starting next month, and of course it's overshadowed by the attacks that took place in Paris and in Brussels. And what is your comment on the fact that football obviously has become the target of terrorist groups, and how do you want to position yourself with regards to that, and how do you want to prepare for upcoming events?
For the government, for the security forces, we are sports federations. And I know that as far as the Euro is concerned, UEFA and the French Football Association and Euro 2016 company are in close contact with the French authorities, who are doing everything to ensure security at the European Championship. I can really just hope that everything will run smoothly, that everyone in the world can understand that football is about joy, is about passion, is about bringing people together and not about making war or about killing each other. I think and I hope that everyone will be showing some sensitivity and some reason, and allow people, of course, to enjoy to the best possible way what should be just a celebration, which is a European Football Championship. And I'm sure that in France everything will run smoothly.
Next one, Kia, please.
Hello, Kia Radnich, World Soccer. Mr. President, congratulations on your first Congress as
Thank you, Kia.
President. I'd like, if I may, just to revisit the issue on item 12 off the agenda. At a time when there is so little trust in sports governing bodies generally, I wondered why you included judicial bodies, Audit and Compliance Committee and Governance Committee in the, what I thought was otherwise a sensible proposal to give you the opportunity to remove and replace committee members during the year. Thank you.
Well, we followed on this again a purely democratic process. These are also good governance rules. I mean, you make proposals, you bring them to the Congress decides. And I think, if we don't act, we are criticized for not acting. If we act, we are criticized for acting. I think you should criticize us if we act in the wrong way, but not to give us the possibility to act if something happens. Today we had to dismiss several members. Some resigned by themselves. Others, they are indicted, arrested, I don't know, but they didn't resign. Do we have to wait 1 year until the Congress to be allowed to dismiss them? Well, the Congress didn't have this opinion. We need to be able to be flexible in order to implement all the changes that are necessary. Then let's see and let's judge the people, the new people which are in, the new people which will be coming in, who they are, what kind of CV they have, what kind of personalities they are. And I think this will also form the new FIFA, and this is what the Congress has understood. So don't move too fast, wait, see, and then judge. Thank you.
We take the last 3 questions, please. One here.
Roberto López Olvera, good afternoon. President Infantino. Given that there is a new wind, as you said, that is blowing throughout FIFA, and also with regard to corruption, there was also the possibility that 2 or 3 countries, that was one of the items on the agenda, perhaps, that for 2026, a couple of countries could perhaps organize it. Is this also could you summarize this perhaps also as the objective of the new president, to really carry football in all areas and all regions of the world? Yes, absolutely, says the president. It is our objective that football is played in all of the regions of the world, in every corner of the world, and to do everything in order to allow people to be able to dream. Those legends that were here today, they will travel as well. They will travel throughout the world. And there will be people, fans, who throughout their lives had never had the possibility to see these players, will now have that possibility, because most of these players used to play, of course, in Europe. So in Africa and Asia and America, normally you don't see these players. So what we're doing is now we're opening the doors of FIFA. We're reaching out to the world with, of course, the organization of World Cups, for example, in more than one host country, because, of course, we know that hosting a World Cup is a very complicated matter if you're not a very big and economically powerful country. So that is certainly also part of the new philosophy. That is right. This is part of the new message of FIFA, the new FIFA that wants to work with people, that reaches out to people, that wants to listen to people and learn from people. Thank you.
Brian, please.
Good afternoon, Gianni. Brian Homer from Reuters. You've got it now written in the FIFA statutes that all 211 Is that better? All 211 members now have to practice good governance. I just wondered how difficult that's actually going to be to enforce, given that there are countries where paying a bribe is the only way of getting things done sometimes. And are you just going to go wading in, or how are you going to deal with that?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Thank you very much for this, because it's exactly a point already. We have to start by realizing exactly what you said. I mean, it's not, we don't have everywhere in the world the same, how should I say, concept of good governance. And we have to recognize that the world is what it is the world. And we will not solve all the problems of corruption in the world with our new good governance regulations or our new development regulations. On the other side, however, what we are putting in place is a mechanism which will make sure that FIFA is much more involved, much more at the service. We'll have to upgrade very much our member association and development division, because when you go to a country, when you can assist an association, when you can help the association, you know, sometimes maybe it's corruption, or certainly it's corruption. Sometimes it's just not knowing what to do, not knowing how to make a financial report, not knowing where to get an auditor to audit the financial report. So it's things like this that we have to be able to help, where we have to be able to help and to assist the association and to accompany the association throughout the process. And if you are there, if you are present, if you make sure that you explain them how to make a tender process, how to ask three different people to submit offers, how to tell them that it's maybe not the best thing if your brother makes an offer as well, or your wife. You know, these kind of things on a very practical level, we will make sure that the money is really invested into football and doesn't end left and right. It is an undertaking, but we are committed to do it. Thank you.
Final question, please. Over there, thank you.
Pérez from The Economist, or El Economista. In this fight against corruption, you have been looking at the budget, you have revised it for this year and the next year, and there are a couple of facts that I'd like to ask you, if you could explain them. The museum will have roughly $40 million budget, but for the early warning system, only 14 million have been earmarked. It would seem that, like, you know, it's a major problem. It's not just for FIFA, but especially when it comes to match fixing, for example. So why so much money for the museum and not as much money for tackling one of the problems, which is really one of the great problems afflicting football worldwide? Thank you for this question. I am absolutely in agreement. It's true. We have to look into what we can do and how we can invest our money in the most sensible way. That's what we were saying. Unfortunately, I cannot change the past. And that includes, for example, also the museum. The museum, the decision for the museum was taken in the past, and it is having a long-term effect also on the future. And if FIFA committed to making this museum, and if the running costs are of 30 or 40 or whatever, how many millions, then there is this commitment, and they have to uphold this commitment until that point in time where you can find a decision on how to reduce those running costs and perhaps use that money to invest it in other areas. The 14 million regarding the early warning system, those $14 million, I think that's a lot of money. Especially if you compare that, for example, with what's available at UEFA. But of course, it is never enough. And match fixing is certainly one of the priorities that we have. The experience that I made at UEFA is that the investments in technologies and systems, and what really yields the best results is the cooperation with authorities, with prosecutors in the relevant countries that are engaged in investigating those cases. That is what FIFA is really trying to push, this kind of close collaboration and cooperation, the exchange of data, in order to perhaps reduce at least this problem of match fixing of matches.
This concludes our Congress press conference. See you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Viva México.